Alright, in answer to a recent request, I'm showing you how to make the dolls some jars of jelly or jam this week. Stay tuned and see how fun and easy this project is. Alright, for our jam jars, we're using these little wooden candle cups, and this is the little header off of the package. So you can see it's a 1-inch size, and they're called a candle cup. There are 4 to a package. I've already done one so I can make sure that this worked, and ignore the light. It's really sunny right now outside my blinds, and the window blinds are going to make a bad spot there. So we need to make these look like jars of jam. So the first step is going to be to paint them white. And rather than trying to hold on and juggle them and not get paint all over my fingers, I've got golf tees, and this little bit on the end is some of that poster stuff. The stuff that you can put your posters up on your wall with without making a mark on the wall. I actually have a container of golf tees, and I keep a package of the poster stuff right in there with the golf tees because I use that together all the time. And we are going to paint these, and then to dry them I'm going to put them on my little rack. And I actually showed how to make this on my Dollhouse Miniature channel a few weeks ago. Check the blog post for a link to that if you want to see how to make this little tool, this little drying rack. It is a really handy little device, and I found it really useful for this project especially. So I've just got white craft paint, and my craft paint is full of stringy bits. I hate that. So by putting this on the golf tee, if you don't have a golf tee, you'll have to paint it probably in parts, or you'll have your fingers full of paint. And we need a white layer first. The first one I did before I bought this size candle cups, I didn't put the paint under, and I found it just wasn't as realistic looking. Alright, so I got a nice smooth coat of white paint. We only need one coat, and now I'm going to put that there. And the white just, it makes our color over the white look more translucent and more believable. These aren't heavy, so I don't have to balance them. If these were heavy, I would have to put on the one opposite next, but they're not. And the very top of our container will be covered. These are going to be closed jars of jam or marmalade or jelly or whatever you decide to label it with. Let's see, this one's going to be easier to get to, I think. So I'm going to leave these to dry. When they're dry, I'll come back and we'll put the next coat of color on. Alright, so the paint is now dried, and we are going to coat our jars. Now this is the orange marmalade that I already made, and this one we're using nail polish. That actually took 2 colors. It took a yellow and an orange. I picked out a color for a raspberry jam, a strawberry jam, and a grape jelly. So I'll do one color on camera, and then I will probably do the other 2 off camera. So whatever nail polish you got, not a pearl or a glitter obviously, but because of the way nail polish is, with especially the white under it, and it's going to take multiple coats, just like it does when you do your nails. This allows us to have the look of a jar of jam or jelly, because those things are kind of translucent. They're not transparent, but they are translucent. Light carries through them. The combination of the translucency of the nail polish and the white paint, and ignore the fact that the cats are having a fight under my work table currently. It's still really hot here, which is why I didn't have a video last week, and our older cat is grumpy and the kitten wants to play, and I think the older cat is saying no, it's too freaking hot to play. So I'm going to let this coat dry. I'm going to do the other two candle cups with these two colors, and I'll probably put a second coat on before I come back. And those will need to be completely dry, both between coats and before we move on. Alright, so these have now dried. I actually ended up with 3 coats, and they look really good. So I'm going to take them out of this clamp, and we're going to start making this look like it's got glass over it. And to do that, we are going to use, let me get into camera, some triple thick. You need the brush on glaze, triple thick gloss, and this is really cool stuff to have. It's compatible with the nail polish, it's compatible with polymer clay. I use it quite often when I want a really high gloss. You want a really soft brush. This is a really soft brush. And we're going to put just a really good coat, and I will put a second coat on and let, once this is dry, and once at least 2 coats are on and dry, I may actually put a third one on, depending on if it looks glossy enough. And when those are all on and they are dry, I will come back and we'll do the next step. Alright, so these I have 2 coats on. I got the coats a little too thick, and they kind of made funny marks on them, but they'll be okay. We can work with that. And I've got labels here. And what I did, I'll put the dimensions for the labels in the blog post, but they're 3/8 of an inch tall by 1 inch wide. I just drew my lines, and then I did all the writing and everything by hand with the ultrafine Sharpie pens. And then the next step, I'm just going to do one on camera. I'm going to cut it just inside those lines. This seems to be a good size for this, and you'll have to adjust if you get a different size candle cup. You will want to make yours a little bit different size. Now, make sure I get the right one on the right bottle. And I have Mod Podge Matte. It doesn't really matter which formula, because you're going to want to be careful not to get it onto too much other than the paper. So I'm going to rub this. I'm just using my finger. No reason to get a brush dirty for this. Get it on there. Get it straight. And then coat pretty much just the paper with more Mod Podge. And they can just set up to dry. I'm going to go ahead and cut out the other 2 labels, put them on these, and when those are done, we'll put some lids on these. Okay, so we've got our jam jars, our labels are all dry, and we are ready to glue on some lids. So I'm going to make the lids in 2 parts, and I'm using a chunk of this leftover paper. This is left over from a couple of weeks ago when I did the burger baskets. And I've got my circle gauge here, and what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a circle that's got a little extra, not a lot. We're actually going to make a 2-part, we're going to use 2 pieces to make our lids on each one. But I'm going to use a 7/8 inch circle, and I'm going to use my pencil, and I'm going to trace it on the back. And I'm only going to do one on camera, and then I'll do the other 2 off camera, because you guys don't need to sit here and watch me do that. Now I'm using, when I'm cutting a circle out, now if you've got a hole punch, that's cool, you can use a hole punch. When I'm cutting a circle by hand, I like to use these little curved manicure scissors. Get them by the nail polish, and they're great for getting a circle cut because they're curved. I use these a lot when I'm cutting little things like that. Now I'm going to use my 2 glue method, and I don't know how many times I've shown this on this channel. I'm going to start out with this Elmer's Craft Bond Quick Dry Glue. And I'm loving this stuff. So I left this open a minute ago. I'm going to run a bead of this around the inside. Now if this glue is going to run anywhere, I would prefer at this point that it runs inside. So I'm kind of keeping my bead of glue to the inside of there. Now I have some super glue. And my current favorite super glue is the Gorilla super glue. It works pretty well. And I'm going to just lay 2 small dots of that right on top of my white glue. By using the 2 glues, they work together, and this clamps everything and keeps it steady while the other glue dries. This white glue is what's going to hold this lid on, this paper on, but the super glue is going to help to hold it still until that dries. There, and we're just going to stick it there, center it as best you can. If there's glue sticking out, like I see my super glue has oozed out, I have to get a toothpick here, kind of, because you don't want any lumps of glue on there. And that glue needs to dry. When that's dry, and I've got these 2 at the same point all dry, I'll come back and we'll move to the next step. Alright, so this is dry now, so the next step I want to take is kind of run my finger, just kind of bend that down. We're going to cover that with our next piece, but we just want to have it bent down. Now, because this paper, it has this nice check on it, nice check design, it makes it really easy to cut. I am going to just follow. And because I already did one, I know that this amount is more than enough. There. Now, I'm going to take a dot of glue with a dot of super glue. You have to decide how you want your design. I think I'm going to put it with the dark stripe up, and I'm going to start in the back. I like to make my seam in the back, and right now I'm just going to glue that little dot. I'll hold that for just a second. It doesn't need much drying time. If you have glue on your fingers and you get glue smeared on your shiny jar, you can just dot some more of the triple thick over it. And I just go a little ways at a time with this glue. And then, oops, try not to get any of the super glue up on your fingers. Right now I'm going to go and I'm going to trim this so that it overlaps a little bit. Make sure I'm still under camera. If I got out from under camera, I'm really sorry. I get into what I'm doing and I forget to check the camera to make sure that I'm still under camera. No more. Oops, I don't want that to go up above that rim, but I also don't want to super glue my fingers to this. There we go. Now while the glue is still dry, make sure everything is straight, everything's where you want it. I'm out from under that right there, so there. Because the paper had slipped down underneath the part that's folded, and that's all there is to it. So I'm going to do these 2 off camera. When they're dry, I'll come back and we will look at our little jars of jam. Alright, our jars of jelly or jam or marmalade or whatever you want to call them, they're all dry and ready for the dolls. This was such a fun project and so easy. It takes some time to do because you've got to let stuff dry, but it's a really fun and easy project, and I think they turned out just adorable. Be sure and check the blog post. I'll give you the specific colors for like the nail polish I used, and I'll put a close-up photo of this tag from the wood shapes. If you can't find those, find something about the same size. I'll try to remember to measure these so that I can put how big, tall, and wide they are, so you'll know what size to get. But I think they just turned out so cute. So remember, if you make one of my projects or any of my projects, send me a picture. I'd love to see what you're working on. If you have a request for a tutorial, let me know. I love making stuff that you guys want to see. If you haven't found my Facebook page, be sure and look for the link for that in the description also. And until next time, have fun with your dolls. I'll talk to you later. Bye.